Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Mark Martin. Experts say we could be on the brink of a catastrophic disaster when it comes to the nation's power grid. CBN News national security correspondent Eric Phillips shows us why.
I want you to stop and think about how much we use electricity in our everyday lives, from water to ATMs, gas pumps, medical equipment, and the list really goes on and on. But now think about our nation's power grid that supplies that electricity and it being damaged or disabled for weeks, months, even up to a year. It's a very real possibility, and experts say it can happen in several different ways, but they also say there's something we can do about it. Frank Gaffney heads the Center for Security Policy in Washington, D.C. He's on the front lines of sounding the alarm about the vulnerability of the nation's electric grid.
Our electric infrastructure is very susceptible.
One of those dangers is what's known as an EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, which can happen if an adversary detonates a nuclear weapon in space, causing a burst of radiation that won't hurt people but would fry our electric grid. The same thing could happen naturally in the event of a solar storm. Then there's another naturally occurring process deep within the Earth that could result in what's known as a magnetic pole reversal. Dr. Hugh Ross talked about it on a recent edition of the 700 Club.
The biggest consequence is the damage it could do to our electric power grids.
What can we do? Gaffney says there are several effective steps the military took to protect sensitive assets some 30 years ago after discovering these vulnerabilities.
What are called surge protectors, sort of think of what you hopefully have your computer plugged into, only bigger. Shunts, which essentially move electric current around what you're trying to protect. And Faraday cages. And it turns out that, while we may not know it, almost all of us now have a Faraday cage in our homes. It's called a microwave oven.
These protective measures would cost billions of dollars, and at least one organization questions the need. The Electric Power Research Institute, or EPRI, is an independent nonprofit. In a recent report, it said while protecting the grid would be helpful, even without it, quote, possible damage to large power transformers was found to be minimal. Gaffney is critical of the report, saying EPRI is closely aligned with the electric utilities. He says their findings clash sharply with those of a federal commission that studied the problem.
Even if no enemy used either what's called EMP or sabotage or cyber attacks to take down our grid with catastrophic consequences for our country and our people, Mother Nature is going to do it.
There's an ongoing debate about who would pay for an upgrade to the electric grid, whether it would be the government or electric utilities or some combination of big business and public dollars. I should also mention that I did reach out to EPRI for an interview, and they declined my request. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
These days, much of our lives can be found on cell phones, tablets, and computers. Here's an inside look at the Department of Defense Cybercrime Center and how these forensic examiners are fighting cybercrime in the lab.
There's rarely a crime that's committed anymore that doesn't have some association with cyber. So whether it's foreign intelligence services and what they're doing to exfiltrate data from our prime contractors, to terrorism's recruiting homegrown violent extremists, to fraud, to a suicide note being written on social media, to you name it, anything that we investigate these days has some element of cyber.
Our laboratory is the only laboratory that supports all of DoD. That's what we're called the Defense Cybercrime Center. We've done fraud cases, we've done child pornography cases, we've investigated deaths, suicide cases, narcotics cases, anything that can be conducted over the internet or the airwaves, crimes against computers, cell phones, or anything else that contains digital data.
If you go in and see a crime scene, you don't want to alter the crime scene. So that's basically what we do. We go in and we get the evidence off of digital devices without altering it.
This particular item of evidence came in with this is what the front looks like. So what I did was I took the logic board out of the iPhone, which is all these little tiny pieces of stuff right here, and I put it into a donor phone that we have. Basically the data is still there.
So after our section is finished, then it goes upstairs and we have analysts who work on the data, looking for evidence.
Footprints that's left behind, the digital footprints as far as text messages, screenshots, or whether it's the metadata, so you visited a site, all of that has ties that can point to a certain thing. It can pretty much paint a picture, and it's up to me to get those pieces to the picture, piece it together, and produce a factual report, and then actually go into trial to speak on your report. It's like, that's the most rewarding part, is seeing the full circle.
Even teenagers with the Young Marines are diving into the cyber world. A large group of aspiring cybersecurity experts attended a cyber camp held on a Marine Corps base in Virginia this summer. The camp introduced the Young Marines to various cyber career fields and opportunities.
Young Marines have been looking for a way of providing some type of a cyber camp. It was a natural connection between DCI and Young Marines, because how do we cultivate that cyber force of tomorrow? One of the best ways to do that is partner with a youth organization like Young Marines, put them through a cyber camp that not only gives them skills but also introduces them to those Marine values, Marine experiences, put them through some Marine Corps PT.
This goal of Young Marines Cyber Camp is to provide an awareness to these young men and women of what kind of career opportunities there are in the cyber path. We need to grab the young minds now and get them acclimatized or accustomed to this kind of technology, because there's so much more to it. I mean, it's one thing to play a video game, you know, it's one thing to surf a website, it's another to understand how it works. And we're hoping that the partnership continues so that we can do more of these in the future, because a lot of young men and women, they're interested in learning what goes on behind the video game, what goes on behind social media. I think that challenge is there, and I think that they're ready to go for it.
Turning now to the crisis of illegal immigration. The Trump administration is working with Central American countries to stem the flow of migrants heading to the United States. Recently, acting DHS Secretary Kevin McAleenan visited one country where the policy of intervention seems to be paying off. Chuck Holton reports from Panama.
A photo op at the Panama Canal as the acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kevin McAleenan, visits the Latin American nation, hoping to increase cooperation between the U.S. and the new Panamanian president, Laurentino Cortizo. McAleenan arrived in Panama with an agenda. The U.S. wanted Panama to become a safe third country and agreed to take in thousands of immigrants from around the world who are passing through here en route to the United States. But that's a tough sell. There are already hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans and Colombians who came here to take advantage of the highest per capita income in Central America. And Panama is struggling to cope. They've seen more than 16,000 migrants enter their country through the Darien Gap this year alone. But McAleenan made it clear that wasn't the only reason for his visit. Combating drug and human smuggling was also high on his list.
This is a regional challenge. The organizations and the criminal activity we're trying to confront crosses borders. It doesn't respect our national sovereignty, and the only way to address that effectively is by working together, not just for information sharing, as Minister Rivas pointed out, but for concrete operational actions, investigations, and interdictions.
During his 3 days on the ground, McAleenan also visited a camp in the Darien jungle called Las Penitas, where the U.S. Border Patrol has agents registering biometric data on each migrant. Hundreds from around the world are languishing in legal limbo here as Panama tries to determine the best way to move them out of their country. The daily bus service that was carrying them to Costa Rica has been suspended, with no word yet on when it will resume. This uncertainty has made some migrants rethink their plans to seek asylum in the U.S.
Actually, my destination is not the U.S. My destination is a safe havens. where I can have peace and I can do something to help my family back home.
Many of the migrants who come through here that need medical attention end up at the hospital here in Metati because it's the closest one to the migrant camp. But this place is already overstressed and it doesn't have enough medical supplies even for the people who live here. And so the huge number of migrants is causing some friction between the residents and these migrants coming through the jungle. And the new government is working hard to come up with an acceptable solution.
This is about illegal trafficking, and we have to put a stop to it. Panama accepts its regional responsibility, but we have to stop it. We do not want those people to come through here. And it's not because we don't want to address the humanitarian crisis. It's because allowing these people to come through here is sponsoring criminals.
With help from U.S. intelligence, Panama recently broke up a major smuggling ring based in Costa Rica that was charging these migrants up to $20,000 each to transport them from Africa to the United States. This proves they're serious about addressing the problem. But with hundreds more making the dangerous trek north through the jungle every week, it's clear to everyone there's much more work to do. From Panama, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
After the break, a look at what the Marines have been up to this summer in order to hone their skills and be the best of the best.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
Welcome back to On the Home Front. The Marines have been hard at work this summer, training and preparing. What's known as the Summer Fury 2019 exercise is designed to enhance Marine air-to-ground task force integration and increase aviation operations. Take a look.
The target, get it on the target, there we go.
XC2 splash, cease laser.
Coming off right. 60 splash.
On board, right.
Visual.
Summer Fury 2019 is a two-part exercise. The first portion was about 2 weeks that took place in Southern California and southwestern Arizona in the military range space that we have out there. The second portion of the exercise was for the air assault from Camp Pendleton to 29 Palms.
Summer Fury 19 was designed as a MAGTF level exercise where we wanted to focus on massing combat power rapidly on an objective through an aerial assault.
MAGTF stands for Marine Air Ground Task Force. Doctrinally, the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, or the Aviation Combat Element, supports the ground combat element, in this case portrayed by 5th Marine Regiment during the Summer Fury air assault. There is also a logistics combat element that was played by 1st Marine Logistics Group in the execution of Summer Fury's air assault. All 3 of those major combat elements come together to form one combat force that is capable of operating at any level of the range of military operations wherever the Marine Corps might send them. In order to ensure that this exercise ran as smoothly as humanly possible, we spent an awful lot of time doing all of the detailed planning that goes into a very large-scale exercise, a very dynamic exercise such as an air assault, especially an air assault conducted over a fairly long distance with a fairly large number of people. Summer Fury air assault took place over the course of 5 days. On the first day, the assault support transport aircraft, 2 MV-22s, inserted the reconnaissance teams into regions in vicinity of the couple of main objective areas in 29 Palms. On the second day, there was an assault support transport of a company of Marines to assault and seize the airfield at ALZ Sandhill in order to set conditions for the establishment of the FARP, the Forward Arming and Refueling Point, there at ALZ Sandhill, as well as providing a position for the regiment's forward command post to be located there at the Sandhill ALZ as well. The third day, which we would term D-Day, was the day that the vast majority of our assault happened. Over the course of that day, the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing moved approximately 900 Marines from Camp Pendleton to 29 Palms. The main movements of the exercise entailed elements of 2nd Battalion 5th Marines going to seize blocking positions in the Johnson Valley training area, while the elements of 1st Battalion 5th Marines seized their main objective in vicinity of range 215 at Marine Corps Base 29 Palms. The fourth day, which is the day after D-Day, the assault support transport provided resupply of water to the Marines in the field. C-130s used palletized water and delivered it at altitude to the Marines on the deck at 29 Palms. The last day was the retrograde of about half of the Marines that 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing inserted on D-Day.
If I was an enemy, I would rest uneasy knowing that the Marine Corps could put 500 people within earshot of me over the course of 2 hours if I do something wrong.
We execute operations like the Summer Fury air assault to refine our combat skills, demonstrate our lethality, and integrate very closely with the Marines and sailors serving with Marines of the 1st Marine Division and the 1st Marine Logistics Group.
Up next, how Tyndall Air Force Base is recovering after taking a direct hit from Hurricane Michael last year.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Tyndall Air Force Base sustained billions of dollars in damage after taking a direct hit from Hurricane Michael in 2018. Rebuilding is a slow process, but the Air Force is committed to creating Tyndall into the base of the future. It will likely be more than a decade before it's completed, but as Caitlin Burke reports, there's one important mission the base hasn't missed a beat on.
Tyndall Air Force Base in Panama City, Florida, is where Air Forces Northern coordinate hurricane response. But in 2018, this base took a direct hit from Hurricane Michael.
It was like being on another continent. It was like being on another planet, like a war zone. It looked like a bomb had gone off.
Lieutenant Colonel Camille Chiggy is the Chief of Operations Training for AF North.
AF North is the air component to Northern Command, which is here in the continental United States. And one of our missions, our number one mission, is homeland defense, defending the homeland. Inside that umbrella of defending the homeland is a mission called DSCA, which is Defense Support to Civil Authorities.
When a state experiences a natural disaster that it's not equipped to handle, officials can request help from the Department of Defense. AF North at Tyndall Air Force Base is then tasked with providing that help through air support. Recently, that mission has been hurricane response. Lieutenant Colonel Chiggy heads up a team of experts who monitor natural disasters and prepare to be called in to provide support. But in October of 2018, she was caught completely off guard.
When Michael was a tropical depression, it was a Saturday. And we were home. My toddler, who was not quite 2, and my 14-year-old daughter were both sleeping. And my husband and I were enjoying a rare, quiet moment in our house. And he had been complaining about a stomach ache.
Chiggy was 7 months pregnant, and she dismissed her husband's complaints at first. But then he got worse. After rushing him to the ER, she found out that he'd ruptured his intestine and would need to stay in the hospital for 7 days. It was only 2 days later that Michael intensified.
Somewhere Monday afternoon, evening, we got the evacuation order from Tyndall that said, you must be gone by Tuesday. I think it was noon was the time we had to be gone by.
Tuesday morning, Chiggy was forced to evacuate with her 2 children. Michael was already a strong Category 4 hurricane, and she had to leave her husband in a hospital built to withstand a Category 3.
That was probably the hardest family decision I've ever made, and I hope to not ever have to make a decision like that again.
A team at an alternate location took over the job of monitoring Michael and preparing to provide support if needed. And a small hurricane ride-out team stayed behind on Tyndall. Master Sergeant Brandon Danford was part of it.
The building we were in is rated to a certain category storm, and all predictions were that storm would be a Cat 3, and come to find out it was a Cat 5. The damage and the wall movement and ceiling tiles blowing around, insulation everywhere, just the sheer destruction of the storm, chaos and fear.
When the storm passed, Danford and his men got to work repairing fuel lines to generators, tarping damaged roofs, and doing what they could to get at least parts of the base mission ready. 72 days after the storm, Air Forces Northern was already 100% missions operational again. As for Lieutenant Colonel Chiggy and her husband, he was able to be evacuated to a hospital in Pensacola after the storm and has since fully recovered. And she is back at Tyndall. And as the rest of the base continues to rebuild, her team is ready for whatever this hurricane season has in store. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Panama City, Florida.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
Last year, the Defense Department launched a new initiative called This Is Your Military to highlight the work of service members. The initiative also has the goal of debunking myths about military service and increasing awareness among the American people. Using the hashtag #KnowYourMil, the DoD is sharing personal stories to inspire others. Senior Airman Leah Ritchie shares her difficulties of working active duty and being a new mother.
You know what else is looking pretty good right now?
I didn't know that I was capable of doing not one, but 2 full-time jobs. And when I took an oath to join, I knew that the mission was always going to come first. But that doesn't mean that you can't still be an awesome mom, because you still can. You just have to move your schedule around a little bit and be flexible. When I was younger and I pictured being a mom, I pictured being a stay-at-home mom and doing all the things, and now I'm a full-time working mom, and it is so rewarding. Obviously, you're going to create a perfect little human being and you're going to love them to death, but there's really no way to prepare for being a mom in general. Adding that in with being an active duty mom, I think everybody's journey is different, everybody's baby is different. The CDC has been so amazing. The best part is picking him up at the end of the day, but I know that when I drop him off, that he's in really good hands. He's a ham. He's high energy. He's got a lot to say without being able to say it yet, but I'm very lucky that he is who he is, and he's a good guy. This is my partner in crime, so we get it done.
That's all for today, but you can find more of our exclusive news coverage at cbnnews.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.